Hi, this is Amber with today's Take a Breather Tech Minute, and today we're going to talk about using Google Slides to provide students with a little interactivity. This is a fun thing to do for Learn from Home and assign through Google Classroom. So let's take a look. I have started an untitled presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be about parts of a plant because I want them to just demonstrate their learning. And what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about putting things outside the slide that students drag onto the slide. So I'm going to close this theme window and show you that when I have the orientation of the slides this way and I look off the edge of the slides, there's not a whole lot of room. So one of the things I like to do is go to File, Page Setup, and I'm going to actually set this up to be like a piece of paper. So I'm going to go to Custom, and I know that paper is 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up as an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. And so what you'll notice is now it looks like a document, even though it's still in Google Slides. So I'm going to go ahead and title this. And I'm going to put this title at the top. And I'm actually going to get rid of that subtitle. Whoops. I'm going to actually get rid of that subtitle box. So now what I want to do is I want to put an image in the background, not that students manipulate, but that becomes the background image of this particular slide. So what I'm going to do is you can do this two ways. You can go to background at the top, or you can right click and choose change background. And you can put in a color, but I'm actually going to choose an image. And I'm going to do this through an image search. And I was looking for plant parts a little bit earlier so that I could find one that wasn't really labeled, but already had some sections of the plant. So I'm going to scroll through here and find one that I want and decide which one that I want to use. So I'm just going to take this one and insert. And now that I have it oriented correctly, you'll see that it actually fit onto my document. So what I'm going to now do is provide some boxes that students can drag and drop into this image. Now this is a super simplistic one. You can do this as difficult as you want to. You can create all sorts of things, but I'm actually going to use shapes instead of text boxes. The reason that I do that is because I sometimes like customizing those boxes so that they're certain colors or certain shapes. So I like using the shapes tool rather than the text box. And I'm actually going to change the background of this so that it's a little more easy to see. So I'm going to actually change this to a yellow color. And you can choose your font and do all the things you normally do. So I'm going to say this is flower. And you can, center it and do all the fun stuff that you normally do when you are, and I love the new font plus and minus size. It makes it a lot easier and quicker when you're trying to do things. And now that I have it the size that I want, I'm just going to copy and paste this a bunch of times and then change it. So this will be leaf. I'm actually going to change that capital there. And maybe I want to do a stem. And if it had roots and all those other things, I could do that as well. So this is just a really simplistic thing to show you, but you can use these shapes, and notice they're not on the slide yet. They're off the slide because I'm not using this really as a way to present content. I'm using it as a way for students to be interactive. So what they're going to be doing is taking these and dragging them on to the presentation. So they could, label the flower, or maybe what I'm going to have them do is use the arrow tool and actually draw an arrow to the part. So it really can be anything that you want it to be. But the great thing about this is that a lot of people don't realize you can customize the actual orientation of the slide to make it easier. So when the student lands on it, they've got a lot more white area on the outside, or dead area, if you will, to drag things onto the slide. So what I would do at this point is, if I were using Google Classroom, is I would go into my classroom, create an assignment, give it a title, put in the directions for them to open it and drag and drop. And I'm going to add this because I've already created it. It's from Google Drive. And usually what I love about inserting things for Classroom is whatever you were most recently working on comes up. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this. But the important thing is I need to change this to make a copy for each student. So each student is going to have their own presentation file. They'll drag and drop and they'll submit. And it will already be labeled with their name. So this is what I love about using Google Slides, is that you can now think about them in a more interactive way. So use this fun activity for students to be able to demonstrate their learning to you, so that you're creating a template of sorts. Have them recreate, draw lines, move labels, all sorts of things that they can do, and then resubmit it to you so that Google Slides becomes a more interactive component and not necessarily a presentation. Don't forget today to take some time and take a breather.